Hey everyone, my name is Mark Lucernes, and this is my video presentation for the Unit 8 about ARM single cycle microarchitecture. Let's get started. So first off, there are three types of ARM microarchitecture. There's a single cycle microarchitecture, which we're going to be talking about in this presentation, and the multi-cycle, and then the pipeline microarchitecture. The single cycle executes an entire instruction in one cycle, while the multi-cycle executes instructions in a series of shorter cycles, and the pipeline applies pipelining to the single-cycle microarchitecture. Therefore, it can execute several instructions simultaneously, improving throughput significantly. So what is a single-cycle microarchitecture? A single-cycle microarchitecture is one of the three microarchitectures for the ARM architecture that executes an entire instruction in one cycle. Hence, it is called a single cycle. Because it completes the operation in one cycle, it does not require any non-architectural state, as opposed to other two microarchitectures, which are the multi-cycle and the pipeline, that requires non-architectural pipeline registers. Its advantage is that it is the simplest of the three ARM microarchitectures and has a single control unit. However, executing an entire instruction in one cycle could be problematic because the cycle time is limited by the slowest instruction. It's just like driving a Ferrari in a heavy traffic. Also, this architecture could be costly. You cannot reuse parts of the expensive hardware blocks, such as adders and memories, just like a multi-cycle microarchitecture, because everything works as a single unit. Moreover, the processor requires separate instruction and data memories, which is generally unrealistic for single-cycle microarchitecture. So for this presentation, to better understand how the single-cycle microarchitecture works under the hood, we're going to be using LDR instruction with immediate value offset as an example. So this is the LDR instruction syntax. RD means the destination register, which we're going to be loading the memory address. The RN is the base address, and the IMM is the immediate value offset. So the first thing that we're going to be doing in an LDN instruction under a single cycle microarchitecture is to read the source register containing the base address from the instruction memory. Okay, so this is the diagram of the first step in an LDR instruction. So we have instruction memory, the register file, and the data memory. The instruction memory contains all the instructions needs to be executed in one cycle. So each of the instructions are in a single cycle microarchitecture is executed once per cycle. So, and the register file contains all the register from 0 to 15, that's 16 register, and the data memory, which we're going to be talking about later. So first, we're going to be storing the base address that we get from the instruction memory into the register A1, and then add the offset, which is unsigned 0 extended to our to 32 bits. 0 extended simply means prepending leading zeros and stored in the immediate field of the instruction. So once we have the base address into the register file, we will we will need from the instruction the immediate value that we're going to be adding as an offset of the base address. In order to add the offset into the base address, we need to have the adder. We need to have an adder. We're going to be using an ALU, or the arithmetic logical unit, that combines a variety of mathematical and logical operations into a single unit. So an ALU has an input of source A and source B. For the source A, we're gonna be having the base address, and for the source B, we're gonna be having the immediate value or the offset. And 00 means instruction for an add for an addition. So ALU with a 00 control will perform or execute an addition of source A and source B and output the result into the data memory, into the port A. So next, read from data memory onto the read data, which is this part right here, the RD, bus into the destination register, reg write or WE3 control signal needs to be asserted during an LDR to write the data value into the register file. So the reg write is this part right here of the diagram, which we're going to be talking about later. It's in the register file. So while the LDR instruction is being executed, the processor computes the address of the next instruction into PC, or the program counter, on the next rising edge of the clock. Because the instructions are 32 bits, or 4 bytes, the next instruction would be PC plus 4, using an adder circuit. An adder circuit is from, if you can remember, it's the ALU, or Arithmetic Logical Unit. Okay, so this is the diagram of the next step. So once we have the base address stored in the data memory, it's going to go through the read data bus and back into the register file, the WD3. And as indicated, we need to have the reg write or WE3 asserted in order for the register file to start writing the data from the read data bus and into one of its register. And after that, while the instruction or the load instruction is being executed, the program counter starts moving and storing the next instruction. So because ARM architecture stores PC plus 8 or 2 instructions ahead in register 15, R15, PC goes through another adder circuit before being written in R15. Similarly, writing register 15 manually updates the PC. Therefore, PC may come from the result of the read data instruction rather than the PC plus 4. A multiplexer is required to choose between these two possibilities. The PC source control signal is set to 0 to choose PC4 or 1 to choose read data. So this is the diagram of the last step in a load word instruction. So this is the multiplexer that decides whether to store the value from the read data or to just increment the current PC counter, or the program counter rather. So if the program counter, or rather the multiplexer, decides PC source control signal is set to 0, choose PC plus 4, or 1 to choose read data. So if it's 0, it's just going to store the PC plus 4. If it's 1, it's going to store the value from the read data. So if we go to the 0 route, we will increment the PC with 4, with the value 4, and then it's going to go through another adder because the ARM architecture stores 2 instructions ahead into the PC or R15. So we're going to have another adder with the value of 4 incremented into the current PC. So 4 plus 4 is going to be PC plus 8 into the R15. So this is the complete single cycle processor or CPU. This is the diagram of the complete single cycle microarchitecture using the LDR instruction. And that will be all for this presentation. Thank you.